Not enough. Now a £1.5 of Sloes means a litre-and-a-half of gin, which will give slightly more Sloe Gin, slightly more than a litre-and-a-half, and that is nowhere near enough. It's my favourite drink, and my father also consumes a lot, so we need a huge amount of the stuff. Litres and litres of the stuff. Well, it's quite late in the year, and these bushes are completely bare, but down there I think there is still some left. Here are some sloes. I think there might be some more further down as well. And here there is plenty. It's Armistice Day and there are still red blackberries on the trees, well, the bushes, which is good. I may be picking some to add to apple juice, or which is to become cider later, because I don't really like cider, and I think the addition of some blackberry flavouring might improve it. So many, so near, yet out of reach. This sort of thing can get quite annoying. I've never actually been here before, which is odd. I'm within half a mile of the house I've lived in for 25 years, and there's a whole huge area. I've sometimes thought, well, there's nothing left to explore, I know the area, I know everything, and then I come into this space and realise I've never been there before. This gets frustrating when you're running out of things within reach, yet you're nowhere near enough. I don't think there's £2 there. And I'm thinking of making sloe wine this year to cut down on gin costs, and that'll need £5 of sloes, I think, for 1 gallon. Okay, I've been around the entire top of this field without sight of a single sloe, and I think it's because that is ancient woodland, and blackthorn is used to make hedgerows, and you don't have hedgerows along the side of woodland generally. That's just not how things work out. Yup. These steps are unusually overgrown. It was harder to get up here than usual. But that's what these seats are for. Why do they do this? Just plonk this bit of maize in the middle of a field and then flatten this broad strip all the way around the edge of it. There must be some weird subsidy thing going on here. Well, half an hour and several fields later, I found just one single sloe. So I decided to call it a day and go home. Better. Whilst I'm disappointed slightly with my haul, as it were, today. I spent this morning considerably more productively than most mornings. Seems there are still a few at home, so I might get a few handfuls more, but it's nothing to write home about. This is probably safer and more effective to use than the small kitchen knife I've been pricking with them so far. The problem with this sort of foraging is that I've got nobody to do it with, and when you're on your own it gets tedious quite quickly. This is the sort of thing that you're supposed to do with other people. In fact, I went gathering chestnuts with family members a few weeks ago, and we basically carried on till we all said, well, I think that's enough now, let's go home. But when you're gathering things on your own, especially if you're trying to get to a certain amount, you just keep looking and checking if you've got enough yet. It's a bit like clock watching, really. 3 litres of gin, £13.99 each, from Aldi. Very expensive. Most of it's probably going into Theresa May's coffers. Mm-hmm. 8 ounces. Sugar draws the flavour and the juices out of fruit. There we go. I suppose I could put another 1 or 2 once all the airs come out from amongst the sugar, and in a few months, by Christmas I suppose, we will have some delicious Sloe Gin. This one here was made with sloes from the garden that my father picked. I think there was about a little bit more than a pint of gin poured into this. Obviously there's considerably more than a capacity of a pint that jar can hold, and the rest of the gin from that 70 centilitre bottle went into this. Raspberries. Made it experimentally last year with some leftover gin and the last of the raspberries, and it was very tasty. A dry and light flavour, although I think I used a bit more sugar this year, so it might have a slightly stronger and sweeter flavour to it, but raspberries are very tasty fruit, so it will be nice, no doubt.